What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you this Monday evening. Guys, it is time to get into this college football thing full force. Summer is quickly upon us. It got hot, really hot around here all of a sudden in the past week, and that lets me know that, hey, the magazines have hit the shelves. It is time to get going on these preseason videos. Now, this video is sort of a preseason video. It's kind of a snapshot in time, a kind of a look at two programs going in different directions. Before we get into the main part of the video, I wanted to address a few little various and sundry items. First off, the next to last Rob Conrad and Kale podcast that we did live here on YouTube, which was Wednesday night. It was titled by Rob, "Is Clemson a Racist Program?" So I get a little notification this morning, and I know that I have a notification because it has a little 1 down there beside an envelope on my YouTube app, and it's from a gentleman named Eric Salt. And I don't know who Eric is a team of, but I've seen him around trolling these YouTube channels, not just mine, several others in the past, and he makes the comment, 357 views. Come on, pussies. What's the matter with you? Or something along those lines. And I just simply asked him, how many you got? And I guess he got mad at the mention of that. So then he goes on a tirade to tell me that you have 4,000 subs and you got 300 and something views on a video. You're putting out shit content on shit subjects just to get likes. Okay, first of all, the number of likes or dislikes that I get on a video has nothing to do with how well I do here on YouTube. I do this for fun, okay? I have a day job. Said day job has made it to where it is kind of hard for me to work on my channel the way that I want to, and the way that I have in the past when I was working a little less. Putting in about 60 hours a week, it's hard to do, but I'm trying to fill the void and be able to do this. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a lot of my preview videos driving, because people like the driving videos for some reason. That will give me time to do research here at home and do my filming on the road during my travels. So that's a definite possibility. But the Rob Conrad and Kale podcast, we've only been live streaming on YouTube now for maybe 6 weeks. So, we're not going to have 1,000 views right off the bat. And frankly, it's a football-based show, and it's not football season. So when football season gets cranked up, those views I expect to quadruple, if not more. So, sir, you can basically just go choke on one. If you don't like the content, you don't have to watch it. Nobody is holding a gun to your head and forcing you to watch these videos, but I would like to throw a challenge out there to you. If you so desire, and you have a set of balls that's dropped, call into the show Wednesday night. It's 1-803 something. I can't remember the rest of the number, but it's on the little ticker down at the bottom of our thing. And I guarantee you that if you do that, which I'm 99.9% sure you won't, we will verbally eviscerate you. Thank you very much. Most of these people that you deal with, I don't really give them much of a shout out, but this one just kind of ruffled my jimmies a little bit. So there's that. You are an idiot of the worst proportion, and you're the type of person that if we were all starving to death and were caught outside and it suddenly started raining soup, you'd be the only son of a bitch running around with a fork. That being said, let's get into the subject at hand. South Carolina Gamecocks and the North Carolina Tar Heels met up last year, the first weekend of the season, in what used to be known as the Gamecocks home away from home in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. However, it hasn't been very friendly to us lately. Have lost the past 2 matchups in that stadium. Lost to the North Carolina Tar Heels last year, 24-20. They came back and beat us, and we dropped the Belt Bowl at the very end of the 2018 season, 28-0 to the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, coming off of that, a lot of people considered it an upset. But then by the end of the year, you could look at both teams and tell that it really wasn't an upset. And that's a problem. That's a problem that it wasn't an upset. just to put this in perspective, and I'm looking strictly out of the Athlon Preseason magazine. They rank all your Power 5 and Group of 5 teams in the country, 1 through 130-something, however many teams there are. North Carolina is preseason ranked number 18, first in the Coastal Division. I'm not going to say whether I think that's a little bit too high or not high enough. I'm not sure yet. But we are preseason ranked number 47. Guys, I think that's a little bit too high. I mean, I really do. And number 47, make no bones about it, is not good. We are predicted to finish 5th in the SEC East with a 3-5 record, which I assume this magazine is giving us wins over Missouri and Vanderbilt, and then they are giving us a win over either Kentucky on the road or Tennessee at home. I'm not really sure which one. I'm leaning more towards probably Kentucky on the road, just because of the fact that their quarterback play and maybe some of their defensive play is probably not going to be quite as good as the Vols. But those are both toss-up games, in my opinion. Here's my issue. Going into 2019, North Carolina came in with a record of 2-9. And I had said in the summer of 2019 that, bringing in this old guy, Mac Brown, to coach this football team, it's not going to be the magic elixir to cure what they are, and that's just a horrible football team. Well, it turns out I was wrong, and it turns out that maybe I should have done a little bit more research into some of the games the year before. North Carolina did have some injuries. They had a lot of injuries in 2018, which was Larry Fedora's last year, especially at the quarterback position. They were actually in a lot of the games that they played, which last year kind of bore itself out too. They played a lot of close games last year, which they ended up winning most of those. You're looking at them right now, and this is just talking about what you got coming back. They're returning 2 1,000-yard rushers. Well, one of them didn't get quite 1,000 yards, but he's pretty damn close. And they're returning back 2 1,000-yard receivers. That's 22 touchdowns. Sam Howell, this kid that came from out of absolutely nowhere. And he was a highly regarded 5-star. I think he was a 5-star coming out of North Carolina. I think he went to Sun Valley High in Monroe, maybe, or Piedmont High in Monroe, North Carolina, maybe. I don't know. But he had committed to Florida State, and then he flipped, obviously, smart move for him, and went to UNC. And I don't think that anybody doubted his talent going into last year. I just think that the rate at which he just came out of the gate and did so well just surprised a lot of people. They started off 2-0, and then they dropped a close game to Wake Forest. They dropped a game to App State as well. Looking in the mirror on that one, but then they kind of went on a winning streak down the stretch and did really well. Looking at them, this is what I see. North Carolina versus South Carolina. This is why they are quickly becoming a better football program and are distancing themselves right now. Is because they have an identity on offense. That's simply it. They know what they want to do. We are sitting there. We are on our 3rd offensive coordinator now. Under Muschamp. This one hasn't done a regular season game yet, so we're really not sure what we can do. We didn't get a spring game, so the jury's still out there, and I think Mike Bobo will probably be the best of those 3, probably by a long shot, but how long is he going to be around? I mean, is he really going to be enough to save this team? And then when you're looking in terms of talent coming back, I mean, the cupboard is really bare. And for some reason to me at South Carolina, it seems like it's like this almost every year. It seems like we're losing star players every year, and we don't have the Jimmies or the Joes to replace them. Okay, Deebo Samuel left, and then we had Brian Edwards, who was nothing against Brian Edwards, he's a great player, but it was a little bit of a downgrade at the wide receiver position as your star player from Deebo Samuel. This year, what we have Shi Smith returning, and he is the only one who's seen really significant playing time. Josh Vann is a junior, and he's been out there, and he's been mostly in blocking assignments and running decoy routes. I mean, he really hasn't had many opportunities to catch the football. And looking at Shi Smith's numbers coming back, and I can't believe that they're this low. He caught 43 receptions last year for 489 yards. That's it. And that's your leading receiver coming back. He only caught 2 touchdown passes, and if you want to look at it in these terms, there was a chunk of that yardage. 75 of those 489 yards came on one play against Tennessee. If you remember the first play of the game, Ryan Helinski threw him kind of that slant route over the middle, which he took for a 75-yard touchdown. We thought it was going to be easy. Thought we was going to cruise, and we thought we were going to stop a mud hole in them. Of course, that turned out not to be the case. They outscored us 41-14 after that point and cruised to a victory. But you can sit here and tell me, too, that our schedule is a lot tougher than what theirs is. It's really not. Our non-conference schedule, we have Clemson this year. That's our non-conference schedule. The rest of it is taffy, which the past few years we've played another Power 5 team. We're not playing one this year, which is probably a good thing. With a road trip to LSU and a road trip to Clemson, we don't need that on top of us, but you can sit here and talk about the schedule all you want, who we played last year, but I guarantee you, had North Carolina played our schedule last year, they could have and probably would have beaten Missouri. They definitely could have, and I think it's probable that they beat Tennessee. I know that they beat the Kentucky team that we beat and the Vanderbilt team we beat. Those would have been wins for them as well. Yes, Kentucky got a little bit better when they put Lynn Bowden in at quarterback, but that's neither here nor there. They would have won that game at that point in the schedule. They would have obviously were much more competitive against Clemson. Texas A&M, a game in which, yes, we were behind only 13-6 in the fourth quarter. We ended losing 30-6 because our offense couldn't move the ball as per usual. But I think North Carolina would have put plenty of points on the board against that Texas A&M defense, and that would have been more of a shootout than what we gave them. The Georgia game, I think they would have lost. Florida would have been a good game with them. They lost to App State. That's a wash there. And I think that they would have probably been more competitive with Alabama. So I could have seen them getting 6 wins out of our schedule last year. Looking at recruiting, in 2019, North Carolina finished ranked 30th. South Carolina finished ranked number 19. That was a lot of players that Fedora recruited, and Matt Brown had to come in and kind of clean it up on the back end. So that's kind of the recruiting class that right now is paying dividends for them. That was Sam Howell was part of that class. The 2020 class, Gamecocks finished number 18. North Carolina finished number 19. Now, had we not landed Jordan Birch, which that surprised me. I was surprised that we landed Birch. I thought the kid was going to end up at LSU, especially after what they did. But he comes to South Carolina. So that really boosted our recruiting rankings a few spots. They also stole, I kind of stole, a recruit from us in Miles Murphy, the defensive end from up there in Greensboro, North Carolina, who was a guy that I think most crystal balls had him going to South Carolina. He ends up at North Carolina. That was a big loss for us. And the fact that they are recruiting at such a high level right now, they are currently ranked number 5. Yeah, number 5 in the country, and they've only got 15 commitments. So it's not the fact they're not doing like Tennessee and just stacking up these 3-star and low 4-star commits like Cordwood and saying, "Woohoo, we're ranked." They are actually their star ranking is higher than what Tennessee's is, and they have less commitments there. South Carolina is ranked number 67. 67. I don't know where that measures up right now, but we've fallen down some spots. I got to say, that has to be last in the SEC besides Vanderbilt, and it may be last in the SEC. I'm not sure. Muschamp, he was talking in a little presser in the past couple of days. He blamed that on the coronavirus and the fact we haven't had the ability to get anybody on campus since March. You know what? North Carolina dealt with the coronavirus too, sir. They did. And quite frankly, their state had more stringent restrictions than what South Carolina did. So, you know, sing me another song on that one, because I'm tuning that one out. You can't get an on-campus visit now either until September the 1st, which also puts us behind the 8 ball even worse than we were before. And I do think, personally, that there will be a record number of decommitments this year. There's just got to be, especially when the games get started back in the fall. And I got to wonder about that too, with social distancing and the fact that there's probably going to be, you're probably going to have to maintain 6 feet in these stadiums. And they're talking maybe 15, 18,000 people in a stadium that normally seats 80,000 coming to see these games. How is that going to affect recruiting? Are they going to be given priority and making sure that those kids get there and that they're kept socially distanced? I mean, it has to. It has to. You're seeing more and more teams pop up. I saw Auburn had some. I saw Texas A&M popped up with some kids that had tested positive for coronavirus. This is all just crazy. It's all up in the air, and that's not doing us any favors. But Will Muschamp, you know, blaming this shit on the coronavirus is it's a piss poor excuse. I mean, because everybody has had to deal with it, sir. Everybody's had to deal with it. Looking at what they've got coming back on offense, they're returning 10 starters. 10 starters on offense. We returned 6. We returned 6 on defense. They're returning most of their defense as well. Now, their defense wasn't quite as good as what their offense wasn't quite as productive. But I'm telling you, that offense will average 40 points a game this year. There's no way that it doesn't, in my opinion. And the thing is, and this is the main reason why they're surpassing us as a program right now. A lot of it has to do with recruiting. A lot of it has to do with just establishing an identity on offense. I mean, it really does. I mean, you're going to get those good recruits right now. If you look at the position group rankings in the ACC, they're ranked number 2 at quarterback, 3 at running back. That's huge. Number 2 at wide receiver, number 5 on the offensive line. So a little bit of work to do there, but still passable and definitely and has to be better than what the Gamecocks are. What are we ranked on the offensive line? We are ranked currently number 9 in the SEC. So huge gap there. North Carolina's D-line is ranked number 10. And that needs some improvement, but the addition of Miles Murphy will help that out a lot. South Carolina's defensive line, which has been one of our strengths in the past, comes in at number 9. So only 1 spot ahead of them. Our defensive backs come in ranked at number 6. That's Will Muschamp's specialty, and that's where we have excelled the past couple of years. North Carolina's ranked number 5 and at defensive back with a bunch of guys that nobody's really ever heard of before. So, you know, draw your own conclusions with this, but I mean, this is not good. I mean, it's really not good, especially when you look at the fact that South Carolina was pulling some players from North Carolina. They were having to pull some players from North Carolina because South Carolina is only so big. The state is only so big, and a lot of the high school football talent is kind of clustered, you know, in the Columbia area. You know, you get a few players from the upstate. A lot of it's clustered in the Summerville, Charleston areas. We get some out of Myrtle Beach. But the high school football talent in the state of South Carolina, we're not getting as many players as we used to. So you have to broaden your spectrum and get out into more of the surrounding states. And Georgia is a state that produces a ton of football talent. But guess what? At the rate that they're recruiting right now and the rate that they're winning right now, the Taters can go to Georgia and kids that shy off or don't fit the Georgia system, or maybe they just like Clemson more than Georgia, they're going to be able to pick those kids up and finish with a 2-3 recruiting class every year. You're not going to be able to go to Georgia and get those high-level kids. You may get the occasional 3-star or low 4-star, but that's probably going to be about it. North Carolina was a rich recruiting ground for South Carolina. It is a large state. People don't think, you know, in other parts of the country, people don't, I don't think of North Carolina as a large state, but this is a pretty heavily populated state. It's not that far behind Georgia. So you have a lot of high schools there, a lot of high school talent. And we should have been able to pick up a lot of that. Talking about their in-state schools, Duke and Wake Forest have some really strict academic requirements. NC State should be a non-factor when you're recruiting against them. Their football program is terrible, especially right now. North Carolina is the big dog right now and the one that you are going to be battling against. And right now, I mean, they're killing it on the recruiting trail, and they are killing you as a program. We have to step up this year. We have got to step it up. We have got to establish some kind of an identity on offense. And quite frankly, I just don't see it happening by us. I just don't. Because, number one, as I mentioned, we don't have the Jimmies or the Joes. Our offensive line that's coming back is mediocre at best. Ryan Helinski was very erratic last year. Lost a lot of confidence. I think Mike Bobo is going to help him as far as his mechanics go, to be better than what he was last year. If you watch some of the games last year, one that stands out in mind to me is the game at home against App State when he threw a pick six right before halftime. He had the worst case of happy feet that I've seen from a quarterback in a long time. The team will be built for defense. Our linebackers, Ernest Jones and Sherrod Green, that come back, are two heavy hitters that should be able to seal up that middle of the offense. And J.C. Horn, Mukwamu, R.J. Roderick coming back in the secondary are going to be huge. Jamie Robinson, Jalen Dickerson, Cam Smith, Deion Sanders, what's his name, Shiloh. These kids, they're going to be good. And that secondary has a chance to be elite. So that's the starting point. That's a kickoff point. The defense has been strong for the past couple of years. But if you're not offensive minded, if that's not your mindset, that's not your identity as a team with the defense just to complement it, you're not going to win a lot of football games in this era. You're just not. This day and age is built for offense, and we just quite frankly are not built for offense. We're not. We return one wide receiver who has any semblance of real playing time. At the running back position, Marshawn Lloyd we got coming in, a 5-star from Maryland. I mean, are we sure he's going to pan out in college? I mean, he's predicted to be the day one starter. Kevin Harris was a young kid last year who got a lot of yards in Eclipse, but I mean against really mediocre competition. And then we have another kid named Deshaun Fenwick who I feel like has some breakaway talent, but really hasn't been given his due, or hasn't been given a lot of playing time at South Carolina for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not the coach. That defensive line we've got, it's young, and I hear the same thing every year. You got a lot of youth up there. Last year we had a lot of youth around Javon Kinlaw, who was the force in the middle. This year we got one returning starter up there, and more youth. We're always really young, and with players that just I feel like have not been developed. So that's that, guys. Coaching, player development, and establishing an identity is huge for a program, and quite frankly, in short order, North Carolina and Mac Brown have done it and done a damn good job at it. They could potentially, I'm looking at their schedule, could go 10-2 this year. I think they're going to lose either one of the game 1 or 2 at UCF or in the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta against Auburn. They're going to win. They're going to win one and lose one. The one that they're more likely to win, I think, is the game against UCF. I don't see them beating Auburn. It has nothing to do with Auburn being an SEC team. I just think that's going to be a little bit tougher on a bigger stage for them to play on. I don't think they're quite ready for that yet. But other than those, they could run the table in those games and go 10-2. And we're praying that we'll go 6-6 and just make a bowl game. I mean, it's definitely a change. In 1 year, it is definitely a total 360 from where we were at. That's about it, guys. I'll see y'all later. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening to this long video and tuning in. If you enjoyed the content here, please hit it with a thumbs up. Give me a subscription. give the video a share somewhere, Twitter, on your Facebook, to your team's page, or fan page, whatever. I want to grow this channel back again. Uncle Lou has a goal. He's at 30,000 subs right now. He wants to get to 40,000 by the start of football season. That's a really lofty goal. I'd like to get to at least 8,000 subs by the beginning of football season. I think we can definitely do that, grab 500 more subscribers, and get a few more views so Mr. Salt will be happy and maybe he'll go away. I appreciate you guys. Love you. I will see y'all later. Make sure you tune into the live show on Wednesday night for some more fun football content. Appreciate you. Peace. And I'm out. Go Gamecocks. Spurs up to my toes up, baby. Fire boom.